Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish and Above Board TV.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 312, and we're recording this on March 21st, 2024. Board Games Insider, a proud member of Powered by Board Game Geek. Dude, I see my face so many times on the front cover of Board Game Geek. I'm starting to get like worried that, my skin isn't right anymore or something like that. Um,
I don't
Ignacy,
notice you up there. It's just my magnificent face
oh,
distracts me, so I don't
wow.
even know who I'm with.
All I got to say is wow to that. But Ignacy, who sadly he really, really tried to be, and he promises 100% next week. So everybody out there, remember that. Ignacy's team took a bunch of our photos, and now we've got better looking professional photos. So we're not using the shots that I have with fans and stuff, which were really nice too. The shots of us and the shots of fans, but so you'll be seeing a bunch of these things, cycle every week. But um, I'm so grateful to. I got to just give a shout out to Board Game Geek. I mean, I'm so grateful to be part of their world now. This show, of course, being there every week, powered by Board Game Geek, the quad that I do, and the Board Game Geek show. We just recorded another episode yesterday of that. It makes me so happy that they are such a great group, and if they give so much to the hobby that you just it's just incalculable. What would the hobby be without Board Game Geek? I mean, it's
It's
incredible,
true.
right?
There's so much information right there on one website.
Yeah,
I go to it multiple times a day.
absolutely. Who doesn't? It's crazy. So, Corey, what is happening in the world of Corey Thompson?
Oh, it's been absolutely insane. So I just came off the end of the Cephalofair retreat, affectionately known as Gloom Cabin 2024. And we had about 20 people at the house, and it was magnificent. We had playtesting of the Gloomhaven RPG, which I absolutely love. So freaking fun. Playtesting of some future titles from Cephalofair, which are really cool. I got to hang out with designer Nikki Valens, who's one of my very favorite designers, who is the designer on the new Buttons and Bugs,
That's
which
cool.
I got a copy of and had Nikki sign. Uh,
Nice.
we had Rob Rouse from Blue Peg Pink Peg was at the house, and I
I
haven't
was I was hanging
spent
out with
time with
Christina
Rob
the
before.
whole week.
Rob is amazing.
I know.
I've always enjoyed listening to him, and he's such a funny character, but in person, I, I really like Rob. I hope we keep in touch and stay friends. It was absolutely amazing.
Good dude.
Uh, so Gloom Cabin was incredible. I really hope we get to do it again in the future. Such a great group of people.
Nice.
Then follow up is next week. We're having the Brieger group of designers and Weird Giraffe, who are going to have a design retreat where everybody's going to be throwing designs at each other and play testing, and that's going to be going on for a week at the house, and that's going to be pretty darn cool as well. In the farther future, I'm going to be heading to Rochester, New York, at the beginning of April to film both during the eclipse and at this Strong Museum of Play. So
Very
above
nice.
board, hopefully we'll get some good stuff going on there. Can't wait for that. And then right after that's going to be Gathering of Friends, where it's just going to be so amazing seeing all my good friends and Stephen. So so as far as games that I've been playing, uh, I've been playing more Expressions, which we talked about a whole bunch last week. This was
Oh
the
man.
prize for me that came out of Dice Tower West by Isaac Myers and Barnmade Games. Expressions, I've played it with the family, and this is such a rare occurrence, but my wife and son kept demanding to play it again and again and again. And literally, we played it 15 times in a row.
Oh my God, that is a lot.
We
I will.
still have not beaten hard mode, but we've gotten pretty reliably. We beat easy mode.
Yeah. You mean
Uh,
the normal mode? I assume you mean not
the
easy.
normal mode,
Yeah.
not easy, the normal mode. It
Right.
is such a good logic deduction game
Yeah.
based on playing cards. So
Right.
nice. I also want to throw out, we've been playing Robo Trick, which might be my favorite trick taking game now. I know it takes us a
Blasphemy.
lot. So RoboTrick, short pitch. This is a standard must-follow four-player trick-taking game.
Right.
However, three players are human, one is an AI. The AI player has the entire hand laid out in front of you, so you can see every card in the AI's hand. And the AI follows a distinct set of rules. Written on a card are, what does the AI do if it leads? What does the AI do if it follows? And what does the AI do if it has to break suit? The other cool thing is, if you win a trick, you win the AI's card that it played. And you're only allowed to win 3 cards. After that, they become a huge penalty. So it's
Oh,
this game of figuring out when to win, when to lose, when do you have to win. There's an
like it.
enormous penalty if the AI wins, then you lose a lot of points.
You're gonna
So
bring this one to the
such
gathering, and we're gonna
I
play it, of
will
course.
bring this
Being
to the gathering.
being one of
It
my
is
favorite genres of
so
gaming, and I know all about trick taking. So we're
you
gonna play
will
this.
you will
Okay.
lose your mind over Robo Trick.
Very
Such
cool.
a good game. And my friend Anne Perrier from France gave me a copy of Robo Trick, which is available right now in France, and this is top of my list. I'm just playing it like crazy.
Nice.
So just want to do a quick shout out to my friends at Dized. Dized is, of course, online tutorials for board games, and I've been talking with them a lot. Uni is the owner of Dized over in Finland. Uh, Full disclosure, I'm one of the main investors in Dized, and Dized right now is doing an investment round, and I'm lead investor in that. But the more I talk to them, the more I just really enjoy what they're doing. This is a new method of learning board games. Some people learn best by reading a rule book. Some people learn best by watching a how to play video. This is an interactive tutorial online. Check them out, dice.com. Tons of games available right now. And it's this really easy, nice back and forth tutorial with some smart choices. A tutorial doesn't do the same thing over and over again.
Cool.
It actually has decisions within the process. So
Yeah.
just quick, I spoke to Uni not that long ago, and just love what he and his company are
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
So,
dized.com. They're a very good company. Been around for a while now, and gaining more and more traction. And yeah,
really turned around after the pandemic, and
yeah,
things are moving
it's
pretty quick. They're doing
it
great.
yeah, it's in that whole space of like, well, how do we get a game to the table faster with these big, thick rule books? And they're a great company for doing that. Check out dized.com. Over here at the Podfather of Gaming, we're in the slow travel period. Yay! Right? Between West and the Gathering, I was going to be home for 4 weeks, and next week I'm going to be going to New Jersey to visit family. I've got some family things going on, so I'm gonna be up there for 4 weeks, see mom, and have some time with my family. Shout outs. Only thing I have here. Oh, and then of course at the Gathering of Friends, as you mentioned, which is the next major travel. I'll be there for 2 weeks, including getting there the day before the eclipse
Yeah,
starts, so that I can see it. Because Niagara Buffalo is in direct path, as is Dallas and San Antonio and Austin, Texas,
yeah,
Indianapolis. All you people out there, you got to be in totality. I just read an article. There's no such thing as being in 99% totality. If you are, you're missing out on something spectacular that's going to happen. People are like, oh, it's going to get dark. It's surreal from what I've read and what people who like go and like they go to these things constantly in various places. See the total eclipse. If you're close, drive into the area. If you can fly, do it. Just it's going to be mind-blowing from everything I have read. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs now. Gamer Survey is relaunching. Here's the background on that. This was a big academia focused survey for all hobby gamers conducted by the Ohio State University and Gamma back in 2006. Now Fairleigh Dickinson University is taking it over. And they've got these key areas of focus are like the motivations for playing, your community engagement, entrepreneurship, and they're looking for tabletop hobby gamers of all types, board gamers, role players, CCG, minis, war gamers, everything, LARPers, to be participants and to give their views on all of these topics. So you're helping out the university, Fairleigh Dickinson University, by doing this. I have nothing invested in this whatsoever other than they reached out to me and I'm said, I'll give you a shout out because this is a good thing. I believe in education, and the more we can figure out how everyone's gamer mindset works, the better it is for everybody. And they release their findings after it's over. You can go to gamesurvey.org, and put in your info, answer the questions about your stuff. I'm probably going to be a 15-minute interview online.
Such a great group. I love the academic side of board gaming. This is just a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah. And then on Play to Z, a couple of quick things. I mentioned already that successfully Ascending Empire Zenith Edition was funded. Thank you all who did back it. The pledge manager is coming soon. So if you didn't get into it, especially since there was some really good videos released toward the end, a Man vs. Meeple did a playthrough and they showed the game, and it's so
they
good.
Are so cool.
Yeah, they really are. So check it out. That's coming soon. And we got about 800 backers. It was great. It was very successful. It wasn't Thunder Road Vendetta successful, but it was very good. Good start for the company. The next crowdfunding is going to be for an amazing Hidden Trader game. I believe it's coming in July. It's based on ancient Rome. It's called 23 Knives, as in stabbing Caesar kind of thing. And that name, and that is a mechanic behind all of that. And your role could change as your affiliation, as how you feel about Caesar changes based on the cards that are laid in front of you. It's really good, and I love the Hidden Trader style of game. And this is a very interesting take, highly thematic, with characters from that era of ancient Rome. 23 Knives coming from Play to Z on crowdfunding in July. And then just posted, and we're mentioning this because literally the designer just posted it, and I didn't even know that this happened, which is great. Designer Matthew Rodella just posted that he signed a game with Play to Z, and it's called Twisted Trumpets. And the interesting thing is that both Zev and I, who were at Tantrum Con, saw the game there in a Shark Tank kind of environment. He was one of the people, and he won an honorable mention there for this design. Maybe he won third place. I forgot which one. There was another first place where we actually instructed the guy that this game is going to be for this type of company. You should go look there. But he came in one of the top three, I'm pretty sure, and Zev signed the game. Twisted Trumpets. No ETA on this game, but very happy about that.
I'm so sad I missed Tantrum. So much stuff happened. It's got to be on my list as a convention I've got to attend.
That's right. All right, let's get over to the event day. All right, Corey, what do we have here? This article, this information that came out this week makes me so happy and so interested in the direction of certain parts of our hobby gaming industry. Czech Games Edition, CGE, has bought its own board game factory. So listen to this. This comes out of both ICV2 and Board Game Wire. Czech Game Edition, the publisher of titles including Codenames and Lost Runes Zornak, has expanded into board game manufacturing by buying the factory it has used almost since its inception 17 years ago. Now, this factory, Corey, was at least part owned by Ludofact. And we talk about Ludofact all the time, Ludofact Germany.
The big name German production company, because most production is happening in China now. Ludofact is one of the big names in German production.
It absolutely is. And it probably, I venture a guess that they are possibly the largest producer of board games in the world. And if not, they're really close because they have expanded their facilities and they do so much of the production for the continent itself. If you're in Europe and you're in Germany, obviously, if you can print right next door, so to speak, you're going to print there. Most of the German companies are printing there. And then, of course, some of the larger ones who have to print at bigger scales, they do go outside. And the Czech Republic gives very good pricing, of course, because doesn't have that cost associated with Germany or a lot of the G7 type of companies. So Czech Games Edition, CGE, has bought this company, which was co-founded by Ludofact. And now, obviously, they're going to be printing even more games, have better quality control of their games and all that. But they will be soliciting others to come in because they probably can't keep the factory 100%, in operation just with their games. So they're going to be going and doing games. Other people can come in and do games there as well. I love that idea.
I'm wondering, so Ludofact also had this little side reputation that if you wanted a game nominated for Spiel, of course your game has to be published in Germany, but there was kind of this feeling that if you printed with Ludofact, you were noticed more, that there was a possibility you'd get for Spiel. And so this branching of the Ludofact into CGE's factory too, I'm wondering how that reputation is going to hold over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that that's the case. The one thing that must
I
happen,
don't think
as you
it's
said,
true, but it's
yeah,
kind of a rumor thing that would go
right.
through.
The one thing is, if you want to win Spiel des Jahres, you have to be published in German by a German company, that because it's their award, and there's nothing
And this
wrong
is why a lot of North American games will end up on the Spiel list like a year or two after they show up in the US, is they have to be published in Germany.
Right. Exactly. So here's an interesting one. It comes off ICV2 as well. It's Stonemaier Sales. Stonemaier Games reports its sales publicly every year. They don't have to. They are one of the
I love
companies.
that they do this. It's Stonemaier and Steve Jackson have a very public list of here's what we printed, here's what they made, here's what was best. And I love seeing those lists.
Well, I mean, for our
I know
show, it's
you're
great.
against it.
Oh, no. I'm not. Well, listen. I'm for free speech. They can talk about anything they'd like to talk about within their company. I just kind of think that it's a privately held company, and you don't have to do it. So it's interesting that they do it. I'm not against it. I just wouldn't do it myself. I am happy to read the Steve Jackson report every year and the Stonemaier report every year. I think it's awesome that we get it. And we see a scale for Stonemaier Games that is unbelievable for a company that has a handful of employees, manages themselves tightly. Jamie is a very smart guy, and his business model has worked time and time again. So let me read a little bit about this. Stonemaier Games sales declined for a second consecutive year in 2023, according to the company's annual report to stakeholders from founder Jamie Stegmaier. Stonemaier Games sales were 16.7 million in 2023, down about 20% almost from the company's 20.7 million sales in 2022, and off 32% from the $24.7 million sales in 2021, Stonemaier's biggest year since the company started releasing the stakeholder reports. So a couple of things can be said here. First of all, these numbers are numbers that would be envied by almost every publisher in this industry. So when we talk about who's the biggest, Asmodee, it's just too easy. It's Asmodee. We're not talking about Mass. We're not talking about Hasbro. It's Asmodee in the hobby in board games is number one. And after that, who's next? And guess what? Stonemaier now rivals Simon, a publicly traded company, for that number two spot. Now they've come down a bit here, but Simon's numbers are not much bigger than this at all. In fact, they certainly, when Stonemaier hit 24.7 million, I have not looked at the latest reports, but some of the Simon reports, which are public, those are publicly traded, they would have not hit this number a few years back.
Yeah. So the things that I found really interesting is this is gross revenue that they're reporting.
Right.
Stonemaier does not report actual profits. However, Jamie did make a statement that profits were up. As was his practice, Stegmaier did not disclose profits, but did note that the company was more profitable on lower sales in 2023 than it was in 2022. And Jamie also stated that a normal annual revenue for Stonemaier is in the 15 to 20 million. That's what he considers normal.
Yeah.
So he's more commenting that the decrease is because they had a very high revenue and now it's back into normal. So it's not so much that they had a bad year, it's that last year they had a really good year.
Exactly. Now, and to expand on that, I obviously know a lot of people within the company, and the profitability has gone way up, which
Yeah.
is really in the end what they need to do. It's not about how much money you bring in; it's how much you end up making on that. And it wasn't just an increase; it's a huge increase. So they've done very well on these lower sales. And this year, the 2024 numbers, they will be staggering, right? Because
Well, the
Wormspan
release
hits.
of Wormspan,
Yeah.
they also commented that the two big releases they had last year, Expeditions and Apiary, were good sellers, not Wingspan good. Expeditions had a reported 70,500 units sold, and Apiary 30,000.
Yeah, which again are very enviable numbers by many publishers. They're just you're not often gonna get the Wingspan type numbers that they get. So they've released two good games that sold well, just
Which is
not on the
approximately a million
million.
units.
Wingspan per year. I'm not sure what the number is,
Not
but
a
it's
per year, but
a lot.
I think
Oh,
that's the
they're
yeah,
well over 1 million units now.
yeah,
Well over. And of course, they announced what their first print run of Wormspan was. It was 100,000.
yeah,
And I know that they've also gone back and already started printing again because their orders were, as usual,
exactly.
above that number. So they're already reprinting that. So their sales for the year of Wormspan, the new edition, the Gamerly edition of Wingspan, I would be surprised if the full year sales are not closer to 200,000. But we'll see. Obviously, because the holiday season,
Exactly.
you have to hit that. So we got to see what they're going to print. For the
Here's another
end of third quarter.
interesting another interesting fact in the report. Lifetime numbers of board games sold. So this is how many board games Stonemaier has sold in totem is 1.9 million.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's a very interesting number. So they have
Wingspan. I'm sorry, Wingspan.
of Wingspan of
Of
Wingspan.
Wingspan. Lifetime of Wingspan, 1.9 million.
So think about that for a moment. They are approaching 2 million units of that one title. It's it's a staggering number, and kudos to Jamie, my good buddy Alex Schmidt, and the entire team over at Stonemaier Games. Corey, the
Yes.
next one. What do you got there for this one? I love hearing these kinds of stories.
So I am really excited. So there's been a partnership, a team up between Lego and D&D. So the Lego's official Dungeons and Dragons set will launch with an actual play one shot featuring the designer. This is out of Dicebreaker. So
Wow.
Dungeons and Dragons' first official Lego set, Red Dragon's Tale, just enjoyed a full reveal, and the massive $350 construction has promised more than just neatly sorted bags of bricks. An actual play one-shot adventure releasing on April 6th will mark fans' ability to give Lego another chunk of change, and the creator who submitted the contest-winning design will join the cast. So it's huge that Lego and D&D are working together and making actual licensed D&D Lego products. But on top of it, it's a one-shot RPG. So it's going to be just a fantastic thing. It's going to do great. The Venn diagram of Lego fans and D&D fans, I mean, there's a huge crossover there. This is so exciting.
No, I mean, I think this is amazing, and it can only help the hobby as well, right? Yeah, like you said, there's a Venn diagram to start with, but then if people who are just like Lego collectors, and there are plenty of those too, and kids who buy it, or parents who buy it for their kids, or maybe they'll play these kind of games and they'll grow into role players. I think this is very cool. This is on the heels of what NASA did. We reported that last week, I think, where
Yep.
NASA creates a 5E based campaign regarding the disappearance of the Hubble Space Telescope. my worlds colliding, my space enthusiasm colliding with my game. I think just amazing.
I'm
So here's
such a space junkie.
yes, I am. We're going to end with a sad story here. Corey,
Wow.
why don't you take us here about the death of
I
a noted person in the history of game design?
yeah. So unfortunately, a lot of times we do have some obituaries, and I'm really sad to announce that James M. Ward uh, has passed away at 72. Game designer James M. Ward, who's a member of the Academy of Adventure Gaming Arts and Design Hall of Fame, has passed away. This is out of ICV2. Ward was a friend of Gary Gygax from the very early days of Dungeons and Dragons. He and Rob Kuntz wrote Gods, Demigods, and Heroes in 1976, which of course became Deities and Demigods. Uh, it first introduced gods into the game. He's also the creator of Metamorphosis Alpha, the first science fiction RPG, which was published by TSR. Jim worked for TSR for 20 years and had a number of executive positions until 1996. In addition, Ward designed the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game, as well as Tomb Raider, Wheel of Time, and Babylon 5 CCGs. So a big influence in the early CCG market. So Jim was just a fantastic guy. Will be missed.
Yep. Condolences to all his family and friends. It's always sad, but we're getting older. So sadly, we're going to have to report these things once in a while. In the meantime, strategy and tactics. All right, Corey, we'll move down past the Ignacy questions and we'll
I
go out.
tried to label them with big
I,
highlights so that
I did
you
notice
notice.
so that I don't like start reading them, and I appreciate that. Friend of the show, Peter Van Hook from Belgium. He's at Pieter VH. He asks, I listened to the last episode, which was a while ago now, I think number 278, live from the UKGE, where you mentioned that way back in the day, people played a lot of El Grande and other very good games because there was a bigger difference in the quality of games put out then. Nowadays, each new game seems to be a great game. Okay. Didn't say that exact, but yes. I mean, something like, not that there was a difference back then. There was just so fewer games back then that, people played a lot of those classic games. But okay, got it. I'm very sure I would love some of those new games on the market right now, but it's also likely that I won't ever play them. I use BGG to look for some games I might love, especially during the period before Spiel when I look up the new releases. But I'm sure I miss a lot of great games as well, as the quality put out is just too big. The quantity put out is just too big. I'm also active in several Facebook groups about board games. Yes, yes, and yes. Thank you, Peter. Do you have any other advice to seek out great games that would be a good fit for you, for him, for me? Thank you so much for the podcast. Oh, and include Corey in the opening and closing of the show. Yes, we do that.
I think that's a good idea. I
Yes,
mean,
you did.
I think
Yeah.
Corey should exclusively
Yeah.
be in the opening
Yeah.
and closing.
Guess who paid for all of that new content in the beginning and the middle of the show? Guess who paid for that?
A
Just okay.
worthy investment.
So Corey, I mean, is there other ways? I mean, he says Peter sounds like Pieter. It seems like he's doing the right things. He's, the spiel is when over 2/3 of the games are released literally on that day. 2,000 of almost 3,000 games come out on that day every year. So besides looking at the previews for the big conventions and being part of Facebook groups, do you think there's any other ways to get through the chaff? I don't know that there is. I think he's doing the right stuff.
It's a problem that I've actually had for a long time because I've done a lot of news reporting on board games, and there's so much out there. How do you get through the vast numbers?
Yep.
So going to conventions, playing in game groups, community word of mouth are always fantastic. The best, I think, is going to conventions where you can actually see all of these new releases in the wild in real life. And let's not forget BGG. Board Game Geek is a fantastic place. I actually like their news section. Eric Martin is so good at reporting on everything. He regularly reports on games I've not heard about coming. And for me, I mean, I hear about a lot of games coming, so I'm always following Eric on what he's got reported. I regularly go to a lot of these websites that are the new up and coming news websites. ICV2's been around for a while. It's a little more industry. Dicebreaker tends to go a little more with a little riskier stories, earlier stories, and a little more in depth who did it and why and what are they like. And then of course Board Game Wire. Board Game Wire has been really good the past year. They
Yeah,
report on everything, and I really respect what they're doing. They have such fantastic news. So
very good.
there's so many
Um,
different places that I look.
yeah, I'm gonna say, to add to the list that he already created, and amplifying some of the stuff you said. Uh, Board Game Geek. Eric Martin's reporting is amazing, and of course, you can just simply look. You can subscribe to their newsletters too, and they show you the things that are releasing and the stuff that's on crowdfunding constantly, so that you see all the stuff there. And plus, Eric Martin goes to like every major game release convention, including the ones in France and Japan. So watch what he's talking
Yeah.
about. That's gonna help you.
Eric Martin
Going,
is so incredible. He knows so many
yeah,
different games, and it's really funny because he shows up at the conventions with his tiny little notebook, his
yep,
little flip notebook and pencil, and I couldn't just with those tools. He knows
yeah.
so much in the release world. He's a machine.
So it's funny you say that, because literally on the Board Game Geek show that I just recorded yesterday, that will be released next month. I think it releases. We record it, then they release it the following month. He showed us the book of his notebook and saying he's still reporting on all of these things, and he's got news stories to do from now until May or something like that. He had this huge amount of backlog of stuff that he's reporting on. So
Oh
he
yeah,
is a machine. He is a font of knowledge. He's also one of the biggest curmudgeons that you'll ever meet. And I love to tease him about the fact that he doesn't smile enough. But that's just a funny thing. We have this little funny thing going back and forth. And the last thing, if you can get yourself to conventions, you like the
yeah,
Spiel. The Spiel is the best one to go to for those new releases of what's happening, what's coming out. Do it. I mean, that's obviously a
yeah.
costly thing, but if you can do it, you'll be
And
able to have hands-on every one of those games that's just
Essen,
coming out.
yeah, Essen by far is the hugest release, and you can see all of them. But the other one that's notable is PAX. If you're in the US and can't get to Germany, PAX is really the first US convention that shows off the German releases from Essen.
That's
So
good.
it's a really nice place to see new stuff.
Well,
PAX
Peter's from
Unplugged in Philadelphia.
That's yep. PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia in December is a great place to see those new. And Board Game Geek Con, which literally happens right after, and they bring the games there. So those
That's
two,
true. That's true.
The November con, and then the December con, you'll see those first releases. But Peter is specifically in Belgium, so
Yes.
he has a chance of making it more easily to the Spiel in Essen. The last thing I'm going to mention, it's funny. We had so much to talk about on this question. At first, I was like, no, he's doing it right. But now you think about it, he's got some more stuff he can go look for. The last thing I was going to mention, which has now slipped out of my head. Yes, follow publishers that you like, right? So if you like, the stuff that Portal Games is doing, follow Portal Games and get their newsletter coming out and watch what we're doing. If you
Yep.
like, the stuff coming out of Lookout Games, make sure you follow what they're doing. And then if they're doing the style of games, you'll find out more games. So that was the third thing I wanted. Very good question, Peter. That really was thought-provoking. The next question we have is from Lal Margu. Funny thing that Lal Margu's question would come up right now, because he reached out to me. It is a man. I mentioned, like, well, I don't know if Lal is man or woman, because it's very generic. He's from Luxembourg. And we have met. So Lal, thank you for reminding me. He showed me pictures of him that we have met in Essen in the past, and he's a big friend of the show. He asks questions and he engages a lot with us. And in fact, he sent me a question for playtesting, because he knows that we have a little problem sometimes, and we're gonna use his question this week. So he asks us this time. It's his third question in a month. He said, in Luxembourg, we can play a game in different languages: German, French, English. Yes, I mean, it's a multilingual country. A friend of mine said it would be better for the designer if we bought a game in its original language instead of buying it in a translated edition. Is there a great difference between the money the designers or artists get for those two in those two cases? Are there more details to keep in mind when choosing between different editions? This is a great question, and
Wow.
I can put color on this as a publisher. It's not definite because every contract is different.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the contract is signed with a publisher, and that publisher will give the designer the most money. They'll give them a royalty rate based on the contract, either a per unit you make this or a percentage of the sales you will make, right? So that's going to be a higher number than when that publisher then goes through all the work, and there's a lot of work, and that's why this changes. The publisher, the original publisher, then goes and finds licensing partners. So now we have a third person we have to split some of this money with. Okay, so the short answer to the question is sure. Since you are multilingual and you could play it in German, French, or English, I wish I could. I cannot. I'm American. I speak one language. Sad, very sad.
And he doesn't do that one very
and I
well.
barely speak English. Let's face it, right? Let's face it. So if you were concerned about that and you had a choice and you didn't care, I would say sure. The designer will get a bit more. Not like 10 times, a bit more in the original publisher's edition. That's the way to put it, right? The original publisher. So
Sure.
it came out in Germany at the Spiel in German, and then later, and it was by a German company. Maybe simultaneously it was released in several languages. But that first company normally would be the company paying the designer the most. Very thoughtful question. Thank you. Lol. And you'll get your question on playtesting in just a second. Nate Jennison from the United States. Hey, that's the U.S. last names are harder than the ones in Europe for me. It's Jennison. I don't know how you'd say that. At
Jennison.
Jennison. Thank you. At Mediocre Gamer, spelled very interestingly. Meaty, like mead, meaty. Ochre.
I like that.
That's a really cool one. I got 3 questions, one for each of you. So we're going to stop after the Corey question and then get to the Ignacy question next week. How's that sound? Yeah.
Okay.
So the Stephen question. For a long time, you said you would not be a board game designer. You said you weren't smart enough and you'd stick to publishing. Even early in retirement, you said you wouldn't be designing a game. What changed your mind?
Who says he's designing a game?
Who said I'm designing a game? A very, very, very smart person came to me and said, you want to design a game? And that person, of course, is Jeff Engelstein. And I said, I would never design a game with a hack like you, Jeff. What do you got in mind? And then he told me what he had in mind. And I was like, yes, we're going to do this thing. And,
to be fair, he changed his pants first, and then he said yes.
We can't talk about the game itself based contractually. I'm not allowed to.
I understand.
But that was the reason. And if you ask me the question, will I do it again? The answer is no, probably not. It's a lot of work. And my time is, unless we riff on the same thing in another, we'll see. Let's just say we'll see. But the thing is, at the moment, this is a one and done mostly thing. And Jeff probably has had enough of me anyway, so we'll see. Corey question.
Yes. So we got
the Corey question is, let me just say the Corey question is great because it morphed because some of the things that you did.
It's so great.
Yeah. So let me read it. So he said that you get 2 questions. Why aren't you in the intro? Ha ha ha. Okay. And if you could play a game in a place that has its name in the game, like Alhambra at Alhambra, Carcassonne and Carcassonne, Tokyo Highway on a highway in Tokyo, where are you going and what are you playing? Now he edited this in October. He posted that in like June of last year, and he edited it. He said, well, that question aged like an avocado. It was great for a split second, and it instantly went bad. I thought that was great because you played a volcano. You played a game on a volcano, right? A volcano game on a volcano.
I might have done that.
So if you want to answer the first, you can with any other one. But there's this other great question. I mean, this is an you and I have talked about this. Have you had any show ideas for above board that were so cost prohibitive that you just sort of laughed about them and moved on? Like playing Welcome to the Moon on the moon. Not like playing that.
That's tough.
Not like playing that, but hey, that could be possible at some point. Like underwater cities in a real underwater city type of stuff. Feasible, but not going to happen. So
yeah, I'm going to remove complete pipe dreams. Like,
okay.
no matter how much money I spent, I would never be able to play Terraforming Mars on Mars.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty
So
out there during our lifetime, right?
But we did price out. There's
Are you gonna mention these things that I know that you do? Oh, God, I love this. You're gonna mention it.
No, I know. I'll mention a few.
Okay.
So there's a training plane that's affectionately known as the Vomit Comet, which it does parabolic flight paths. So basically, it's a large 747 with no seats, big empty chamber. It goes up really high and then dives straight down, so that essentially inside the plane you have zero gravity.
On a parabolic course, not straight down, but a parabolic course, which is a very, very steep dive that no plane would ever do unless you wanted to simulate zero gravity inside the plane, which is what it does.
Did reach out and priced it out, and I think at this point in time it is too cost prohibitive.
Now, who was the first person that came to you when you mentioned that this would happen that said, I'll do it?
You would go. You said you would go.
Dude, I would be there today. If you said it's coming out of San Fran, I would be on a plane today and I would go and we would do this thing. I'm serious.
It's a bit too expensive.
Yeah, I got you.
So minimum, it would be about 15,000 per person.
15 grand per person?
Per person. Yeah. And I'd have to have crew, and I'd have to have, and we'd have to do multiple flights because you only get about 30 seconds per.
Yeah.
So that one's pretty darn tough.
I like the ones that he put up there. Welcome to the Moon on the Moon. I mean, this, theoretically, that would be possible at some point, and going and doing something on the space station and crap like that.
They don't really allow that. The one example that is kind of off track is Richard Garriott, who was one of the original video game pioneers. Lord British designed the Ultima series of video games, did pay to live on the ISS for a period of time, and he paid millions. Long time ago, he paid millions.
I think that the Soviets flew somebody up during that era. I'm not sure if it was it was the Russians that flew somebody up for $20 million. $20 million is sort of the going rate if you want to become a cosmonaut. Get on there and they'll fly you up there.
I'm not going to do that.
That crappy 1980s era Soyuz rocket actually is quite reliable. I would do it. I would. I mean, I'm not kind of crazy.
No. I'm not going to pay for that. That's
no. I mean, if somebody like Corey Thompson would pay my way onto a Soyuz rocket to spend a few weeks.
Oh, I know
months,
you would do it. No,
I would do it. I will get into space before I die. I will get into space.
I will say with the previous question that my grail right now is I really want to get Sagrada played at the Sagrada in Spain. That cool. Is on my wish list. It's doable. We're very good friends with the designer, Daryl Andrews. I've known him for years. That's a possibility that's on my grail list.
That is a cool one. I think we have to move on now, though, don't we? I think we have to move on.
Probably.
And I have to make the note in the show notes about the next week. So it's behind the scenes. I have to do this, or otherwise I will never be able to figure out where we are week over week. In the meantime, let's get over to playtesting.
Woo!
Woo! All right, Corey. So in playtesting last week, I actually thought of a question, and it was part of the discussion that we had online. I had online with people who watched the show.
Sure.
And that discussion was, is a game design broken if a player can tank the game? right? And this came
Right.
directly from the discussion about semi co-op games, and that one player could, if they were a problem player, lose the game for all players. And generally, do you think this issue is with the game design or the player? So, Corey, we had some very interesting
We really
comments.
did. And I will say that I did tally all of the votes,
Of course you did. I love that about
and
you.
it was about 85%, 15% to it is the player's
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
not the game's issue,
Right.
which I'm not surprised about. Our demographic, our audience is, I think, much more respectful
Yeah.
of game design, and it's become kind of a bad word to say that a game is broken, especially if you understand the whole process in making a game. So not a surprising tally.
Yeah. But and some specific ones. I mean, Eric Longenbach, friend of the show, he says no, meaning no, it is not a broken game. Having a player that hates fun is not a rules issue. And that is just basically kind of my thought. I mean, I called them the problem player, and we all know that there are problem players. And I think that somebody who would literally just play bad because I'm not gonna win, so therefore they just play badly is just problematic.
I
Um,
had an absolute favorite
okay.
reply here. So William Bricker
Oh,
wrote,
Bill, you know who that is, right? Do you
I
know who
do,
Bill
Bill Bricker.
Bricker, one of my besties in the industry. He worked at Stronghold Games. He was the longest and still is with the company, with the Indie Game Studios company. Bill, big
Yep.
shout out, and I know he listens when he can to the thing. So big shout out for contributing here. What did he say?
He said, I've never played a solo game where another player ruined the experience for me. So by removing one variable, the other players, I've made it impossible for this condition to occur. Therefore, it's definitely the player that
Oh,
causes this to happen, not the game mechanics.
wow. And yeah, and what was what was the other question he posed here? Like a harder.
Oh, he had a follow-up. How about some harder questions like, does Bonacor dye his hair? I think that's a topic we could all get behind.
I hate you, Bill. I'm just gonna say that.
So I just want to throw out there that at one point we at Above Board proposed doing a board game challenge where Bonacor shaved his head,
That
and he would not do it.
what
This is
I
he
didn't.
agreed to all sorts of other ridiculous things, but shave the head really
What?
like made a pause. It's the only time I've seen him kind of speechless.
Hey, first of all, Bonacor does not dye his hair and never has dyed his hair. I'm going to go on record, by the way. But it's all this gray here. Why do people ever think that I dye my hair? I got so much. It's salt and pepper. It's the classic Italian salt and pepper right now. But um, I did not say no to that. I believe the person who said no way was Paula. She said to you,
I got a very threatening email from Paula that I was not allowed to do that.
the one that I really took pause with, the first thing was the tattoos, because at my age 62, I have not had a single tattoo, and I was like, why would I want to start now? When Travis actually said, would you get a tattoo while playing a board game? And I'm like, what's your next choice on that? I couldn't imagine. But I thought and thought and thought, and if that was a thing, I would do it. Because I have some thoughts on two tattoos that I could get, one on each arm, but I don't want to spoil it. If
It's
if
still on
I
the
do,
drawing board.
I'm here. I'm here. Just make sure it's a guy with like clean needles, okay? Otherwise, I think I would do it. So keep me in mind. Maybe another one or two. Ron Graves from Canada. He says, I met Ron recently at Dice Tower
Yeah.
West. He was there. I think a general underlying tenet of all game designs is that the players will be playing the game to the best of their abilities with the intent of following the rules toward the game end. That player is not breaking the game. They are breaking the gameplay experience. If a basketball player shoots the ball into their own basket, is the game of basketball broken because the rules award points to the other team, which could lose them the game? That is a great example, right? I mean,
It really is. It's about the spirit of the game versus the rules of the game.
what a
And
great.
it's a topic I find really interesting. Um, a really quick tangent that I find fascinating. So in sumo wrestling, sumo wrestlers charge at each other. The goal is to just hit each other as hard as possible, and whoever gets knocked out of the ring first loses.
Right.
There's a move where when the sumo wrestlers charge at each other super, super hard, one guy can just jump out of the way. And if he does, the other guy will fly out of the ring and lose. So you will win if you just jump out of the way. Nobody does it because it's not in the spirit of the game. It's not against the rules. If you do it, you'll win if you jump out of the way. But they will talk so bad about you
You will
because
bring shame to your
it will
family for
bring,
1,000 years.
and that's, I think, just an
That's great.
amazing example of spirit of the game versus letter of the law.
That is very, very cool. So gamers, don't tank games. Corey, we had a question given to us by Lal Margu. Thank you again, Lal, for reaching out. This was very good. And the question that he gave, so I'm using it as Lal's question, not Bonacor's question. Do you read any board game magazines? If so, which ones? Some of the bigger ones are, and he actually gave me this list, which was great. Spielbox, which is in German. Spiel
Doch.
Doch, exclamation
Doch.
point. Doch.
Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen.
Yeah, I get. Thank you. I'm fairly bad with languages. So Spielbox, Spiel Doch, Play-Doh magazine, which is in French. Senate, which is in English. And I'm gonna, when I post this, which I literally just clicked the button to post this, BGG maintains a very extensive list of board game magazines. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just literally went on there and I went, are there magazines? And then, boom, there's this huge list of magazines.
Oh, I've got subscriptions to like 3 of these.
Oh, well, Corey, do you read board game magazines? Please talk about it.
I have had a subscription to Spielbox for a very long time. It's an amazing magazine. I really appreciate the way they do reviews. They have a panel, a committee. They show individual ratings from everybody in the panel. You get to know who does what kind of ratings. Really nice in-depth reporting.
Do you get the English version or the German version? Because I
don't know that English version.
I don't know
they come with promos in the magazine as well, which is really lovely.
I don't know that does every edition go into both languages, only like certain ones. I forgot.
Spielbox has both German and English.
They
definitely
do both. Okay.
every issue. And they also have a digital version in PDF, which is really handy.
Right. Any other ones?
Senate, I think, is really nice for kind of the more detailed design side. There's also not listed one to just Tabletop magazine, which I think is a little lighter, fluffier, but I really like seeing releases and things like that and seeing what's going on in the world. I've not read Play-Doh other than like one issue. And Spieldoch I know about, but again, I haven't gotten it. I haven't read it in ages, but Spielbox is my top.
Yeah, so for me, the answer certainly with the list of the consumer magazines is 0. I have read Spielbox, especially around Essen when it comes out. I have absolutely read that. They have a great Essen magazine that lists like lots and lots and lots of the things that are coming out. I have never at all seen the other ones. I might have seen Spiel Doch during while I'm in Germany, and I've never seen Senate in English, which is interesting that there's this magazine that comes out in English that I don't even know
Senate,
about. Really.
A lot of the designers that I know read Senate, and I like the kind of in-depth articles in Senate. We should also probably include Games Magazine in here. Games Magazine is a classic. It's been around for a very long time. Had a little bit of a roller coaster where it went only digital for a while and it went every few months for a while. Games Magazine is more crosswords, puzzles, things like that. But they had a really nice board game review section and did give awards for Game of the Year, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. So I I read the ACD's distributions Meeple Monthly because I get it, because they've just been sending it to me since I was the owner and president of Stronghold Games. And Gamma puts out a magazine. I think it's just called Tabletop Gaming or something like that. And
mostly just advertisement.
It's these are mostly advertisements, and they're made really for like the retailers to see what's coming out, because they got a whole section of games upcoming. So that's all I do in this space. And I'm going to make a prediction that this This question is going to be answered no by anybody in North America. Basically, almost everyone in North America is going to answer no, and all the Europeans are going to answer yes. Or, it'll be a very big split based on where the location is. And based on the fact that the bigger ones are German and French, for instance. So that's going to be my prediction. But what do you guys think? I have just created a thread because I'm good. I can do that, multitask. Go to our guild on Board Game Geek, find our play testing thread with this question, and post your answer. In the meantime, the final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. And you want to be part of this podcast, you can ask us questions for strategy and tactics, or answer our question to you for playtesting by going over to Board Game Geek, finding the guild, finding the appropriate thread, and putting your question or answer there. Check out the websites, portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, dicetowerdish.com, play2zgames.com. And on social media, please like our pages on Facebook, /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, /PodfatherGaming, /Play2zgames, and speak directly to Ignacy, Corey, and Steven on X and Instagram @PortalGamesUS, @PodfatherGaming, @DicetowerDish, and the active YouTube channels are Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. And Ignacy still dancing on TikTok at Portal Games US for as long as it's still available around the world and in this country. We really would like to see you in person at an upcoming convention. So if you do go to one of the places we talk about, please stop, say hi, possibly get in a game or a drink or something with us. But we love to engage with you, our friends and fans, at these conventions. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. If you want your podcast edited by Joshua, you can reach him at tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. Reach him at raygreenleevoiceover.com to do your voiceover work. Corey, end of another great episode. Did you enjoy yourself?
I had a fantastic time. There's nothing I'd rather do at the crack of dawn.
At the crack of dawn in the Pacific, on Pacific time. And thank you for always waking up early. And Ignacy promises you'll be here next week. Anything else you want to mention before we go? Anything quick? No. Probably
My
not.
mind is just a muddled blur of cottage cheese. It has been constant, nonstop fun.
I'll put out a quick shout out that you and I will be at KublaCon this year together, which is possibly the biggest regional convention in the country with an excess of like 4,000 people in San Francisco. We are going to do a live show of Board Games Insider. It's going to be amazing. I am the guest of honor, not you. I am the guest of honor. I'm going to repeat that, not Ignacy. So we're going to have a great time there. I'm even going to get some other gaming notaries to do panels and stuff like that. It's going to be so much fun. So if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, and if you don't go to KublaCon, you're crazy. And if you do go, make sure you talk to us because we'll love to see you. Thank you, everybody.
Show.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
See you later, everyone.